Here we go.
So I chose to talk about the environmental factors that affect wound healing in horses. Obviously the factors are going to vary, they're going to be across the species and go, but I have experience in horses. So the factors that I chose to focus on were temperature, pressure, nutrition, and hydration. So for temperature, the temperature at which the healing process is occurring affects the tensile strength of the wounds. It affects the rates of the chemical and enzymatic processes within the wound, which is how the wound's going to heal. The ideal temperature for wound healing is 30 degrees Celsius, which is 86 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's fairly close to body temperature for the animal. So decreasing the temperature to 12 degrees Celsius, which is 53.6 degrees Fahrenheit, results in a 20% loss of the tensile wound strength. And wound cleansing with room temperature solutions or changing the dressings on the wound reduces the wound temperature, and it requires several hours for the wound to recover back to the physiological level to get back to the ideal healing speed. The next factor was pressure, and the pressure on the wound, it can compromise blood flow in the region of the injury if it's too tight, like if you have a bandage or something that's too tight. So this will decrease the oxygen levels in the tissue. And the low oxygen level interferes with the protein synthesis and the fibroblast activity, which causes a delay in the wound healing. The next factor was nutrition. So malnutrition, it alters the protein synthesis, which alters the wound healing. And obesity, if your horse is overweight, it decreases the blood supply, and it leads to poor suture holding in the subcutaneous fat layers around the wound. And then hydration, it kind of goes with nutrition, but it's critical to have the proper level of hydration when you're dealing with healing a wound. The proper amount of fluids bring the oxygen and nutrients to the wound site, which is essential for the wound to heal properly. And then these are just some pictures of, my horse actually got into some barbed wire back in November. So the picture on the far left is where it started out right after it happened, after we got it cleaned up. And then he ended up at Purdue for emergency surgery and had a cast on for 4 weeks. So this picture, it was approximately 4 weeks. This picture is right after they took the cast off and took his stitches out. And then this was a few days later after they kind of cleaned it up a little more and it had kind of had a chance to dry out from having the cast on and all the moisture held in. And then these are after I took him home. So this was about 2 weeks later. You can kind of see how well he chipped off a piece of his hoof too. So you can see right here where it's starting to grow back. And then it just kind of shows how well his wound progressed and healed. And it healed a lot quicker than I thought it would for how deep it was and everything. And there's just like a small little scar right here, and that's about all he's got left now. So those are my sources.
Okay, so I know why you did it, because you have a personal interest.
Yeah.
Tell me about the barbed wire. Was it wrapped around the hoof area, or did he just give me a little more details how that
Yeah,
happened?
I'm not really sure. He got out of his pasture and somehow got into another one that had a barbed wire fence.
Oh, okay.
And he was across from some other horses, so I think he probably was trying to paw at the fence and got it hooked.
So what
right
hoof
there.
is this? Is this front or
This is his front left.
front left? Okay. Okay, so that makes maybe a little more sense, because a lot of times people with horses don't use barbed wire.
Yeah. We try to avoid it.
And this is maybe one of the reasons.
Yes,
why.
absolutely.
Yes. Okay. And so, don't tell me exactly what you paid for it, but if this happened to somebody in the world or United States, what would your expenses be from beginning to end? Do you know? I mean, approximately.
Yeah. Well, I would approximately about $5,000 between the vet stay and the surgery that he had to have and the stitches and
Okay.
all his medicine and bandages and all that.
Okay, so it wasn't a $200 wound healing.
No, it wasn't.